Hello, today we are going to be talking about generosity, being generous. The story we're going to read is called How Full is Your Bucket? Felix was putting one of the last blocks on his tower when his little sister came in. "I want to build with you," she said. Felix scowled. "Go away, you're too little." "I'm big," she said. "Stay back, you'll knock it over." I can be very careful. Go play with your baby toys, Anna." This is how Anna's feeling right now. And she walks over and she kicks over his blocks, his block tower. "Grandpa!" cries Felix. Grandpa shook his head. "Felix, you just dipped into your sister's bucket. Like everyone else, Anna has an invisible bucket. When it's empty, she feels bad, but when it's full, she feels great. Didn't you ever notice your own bucket?" Invisible bucket? Sometimes Felix couldn't quite tell when his grandfather was joking. But the next morning when Felix woke up, there it was, a small gray bucket floating above his head. When Felix came down to have breakfast, his mom was in a hurry. "I've got a meeting this morning. It's almost time to go. Anna, sit still." Felix slipped and choco-wheat scattered across the floor. "Felix," yelled his mom, "you should have used the stool to reach that." Uh-oh, look at the bucket. What's going to happen? Felix could feel his bucket tip and big invisible drips spill out. Drip, drip. "Ha ha," Anna yelled as she crunched the cereal with her shoe. Drip. "Get the broom and clean that up before you miss the bus," scolded Mom. With the school bus honking, Felix quickly swept up the choco-wheats and grabbed the last blueberry muffin. This is how he's feeling, all the drops out of his bucket. But before he could even take one bite of his muffin, Buster, the dog, jumped up and grabbed the muffin from his hand. Drip. "Hey, look at Felix's new backpack. My baby brother has one just like it," teased the big kids. Drip. They're whispering about Felix. Psst, 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 psst. Drip. "Watch out, shrimp." A big kid pushed him. Drip. All the drip, the water is coming out of his bucket. It was still morning and Felix's bucket was almost half empty. As he watched his classmates walk into the room, he secretly hoped they would trip and fall. That's what it feels like when you have an empty bucket. Felix slumped into his seat and waited for something else bad to happen. Mrs. Bumblenickel walked up to his desk and handed him a paper. He could hardly bear to look. "Felix, you wrote a wonderful story. Would you please share it with the class?" Felix grinned and felt a big drop land right into his bucket. Drop. The class grew quiet. They laughed at all the right places and oohed at the scary parts. When Felix finally read "The End," everyone clapped, even Emily, who sat next to him and didn't usually like dinosaurs. Felix felt a whole shower of drops land in his bucket. Maybe the day wouldn't be so bad after all. Drop, plink, plop. At lunchtime, he sat next to a friend and he found a note from his mom in his lunchbox. Drops in his bucket. At PE, the coach said, "Team captains today are Veronica and Felix." More drops in his bucket. Art teacher said, "Nice artwork." More drops in his bucket. "Cool laser and backpack, Felix," said his friend. More drops in his bucket. By afternoon, Felix's bucket was nearly full. And at recess, when he looked around, Felix suddenly realized that his grandpa was right. Everyone else had a bucket too. Look at all those buckets. Felix went up to one of the adults. He said, "Let me help you." A drop in Felix's bucket and a drop in the teacher's bucket. "Here's your baseball catch. Thanks, dude." A drop in the friend's bucket and a drop in Felix's bucket. "Hi, I'm Felix. Are you new?" "Yes, I'm Amir," he said. A drop in his bucket, a drop in his bucket. The strange thing was that for every drop he helped put in someone else's bucket, he felt another drop in his own bucket. When Felix burst in the door after school, he shouted, "You are right, Grandpa. I do have a bucket and I understand how it works." Then he saw Anna's torn doll. "Bad dog," he almost scolded. But then he thought, dogs might have invisible buckets too. "Your dog will be okay, Anna," said Felix. "Mom will fix her. Until then, do you want to help me build the tallest building in the world with my blocks?" So the dog got a drop in his bucket, and Anna got a drop in her bucket, and Grandpa and Felix. And so they did. They built the tower together, and they each got a drop in their bucket. The end. So, what are the ways that we put drops in people's buckets? By being kind to them. How do we put drops in our own bucket? When we're kind to others, we get a drop in our own bucket too. And other people can put drops in our bucket as well. So the word generous means when you give because you want to, not because somebody told you to, but because you want to. We will talk about that next time. Thank you for coming.